And still in Zamfara State, but this time it is good news for people in volatile areas and persons displaced by banditry and kidnapping. As the Independent National Electoral Commission says, it will make provisions to enable them vote in the 2023 general election. The Commission, however, insists that only those with valid voter registration and permanent voter cards will be allowed to exercise their franchise. Theophilus Darufai has details.
The Independent National Electoral Commission in Zamfara says insecurity has disrupted its activities ahead of the 2023 elections. As a result, it was unable to reach out to all communities during the permanent voters registration exercise due to security challenges.
We have heard of.
Despite that, the Commission says it registered 211,970 persons in the last permanent voters registration exercise. With barely 100 days to the polls, INEC in Zamfara says it has made provision for eligible voters in volatile areas and displaced persons to vote in next year's general election. At a press conference in Gusau, the Resident Electoral Commission in Zamfara, however, insisted only those with permanent voters card would be allowed to vote.
In 13 of the 14 local governments in Zamfara state, there are actually varying numbers of displaced persons, IDPs, will make arrangements. For example, if they are all from one village, it means they may belong to only one polling unit, one or two polling units, and that can be all within an RA. We can now make arrangements in the places that they are temporarily located for them to actually vote. The preparation we'll make is actually the numbers we get will give us the idea of the number of additional polling units, moving a polling unit from one place to a safer place.
The BAYELSA is a machine with a multiple function. The machine has been tested in the series of our last by-elections, and it has recorded about 97% success.
On the recent nullification of the Zamfara governorship candidate of the PDP, Dauda Lawal, by a federal high court in Gusau, INEC has this to say.
Any court order or injunction is a national issue, and only the national headquarters can address that.
The electoral umpire in Zamfara says it has started receiving non-sensitive materials for the conduct of next year's general election. The Commission adds that it has addressed the issue of multiple registration, and the voters' register will be displayed between 12th and 19th November this year. Theophilus Darufai, TVC News, Gusau.
And still on the 2023 general elections, let's tell you that more support is mounting for the All Progressives Congress presidential candidate Asiwaju Bola Tinubu. In Enugu, the Federal Character Commissioner in charge of the state, Gineka Tor, has inaugurated the Igbokwenu support group for Tinubu Shetima campaign. Bamidele Ajayi has more.
In less than 3 months, Nigerians will be heading to the polls to elect leaders at various levels of government. What that means is that the electorate also are silently making frantic efforts to elect credible leaders that will meet the yearning and aspiration of the citizens. In Enugu State, different sociocultural associations, pressure groups, and interest organizations are now pitching tent with candidates and political parties of their choice.
To do my best and to serve.
For this pressure group, aligning their political understanding with the presidential candidate of the All Progressive Congress, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and his running mate, to them is the best option among others.
The man we're talking about is Ahmed Bola Tinubu. He is not just very credible, he has a record of performance. And what Nigeria needs today is a man who has that record. We have no reason to go either left or right.
Most people persons are involved in this because they now know that there's a voice that can take them to the promised land. And we believe in the capacity of Bola Ahmed Tinubu and Shetima.
The coordinator of the group acknowledged the Igbo contributions to nation building, urges people of the zone to vote massively for APC as a viable political platform that will secure a better future for the region.
And Igbos need to come on board to begin to reap the dividends of democracy. And that is why we are out to speak to our people. We shouldn't make the mistakes we've been making before. So it is time for the Igbos to think smart, think wise, and get on board real circle of politics. We are still outside the circle. We need to get on board. And it takes a man that has given us the opportunity.
I'm not even going to convince anybody. People already know him. So the message I'm going to take to them is going to be very simple. Vote for Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
With a little over 100 days to the 2023 general election, hopes are high for candidates whose grassroots support base cut across geopolitical divides in the country. The newly inaugurated members are expected to crisscross the 260 political wards of Enugu to market the candidacy of Bola Ahmed Tinubu and Kashim Shettima as a team that Nigeria needs to move the country to the next level of development. Bamidele Ajayi, TVC News, Enugu.
A group, the 19 Northern States Movement for Kashim Shettima, who promised to mobilize 20 million votes for Asiwaju Bola Tinubu, have intensified door-to-door campaigns in Kaduna State to ensure the victory of the APC presidential flag bearer in 2023. Director General of the movement, Abubakar Aliyu, who recently gathered over 500 Christian clerics in support of Asiwaju Tinubu and Senator Shettima, also issued certificates to 1,646 organizations who registered under the movement. Mr. Aliyu further disclosed that plans have been perfected in the northern states to have about 1.5 million people intensify house-to-house and door-to-door engagements to mobilize votes for the APC presidential candidate. He urged the North to reciprocate the support given President Muhammadu Buhari by the South in 2015 and 2019.
Start campaign from polling unit by polling unit. We have selected, in Kaduna, like we are in Kaduna today, we have selected almost 1.5 million people to campaign, house-to-house campaign for Kashim Shettima.
In Borno State, the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar, says he will restore peace to the country if elected president in 2023. He stated this at the flag-off of the presidential campaign of the party in MAIDUGURI. We have details in this report.
The People's Democratic Party officially flagged off its campaign in Borno State. On arrival, the PDP presidential candidate addressed the party supporters. His key message was that if elected, he would ensure restoration of peace and livelihood to victims of insurgency if given the opportunity to head affairs of the nation.
PDP is elected, we shall restore peace and order in Borno State, not only in Borno State, throughout the country, to make sure that we reactivate Chad Basin Development Authority so that our farmers can go back to farm so that we can produce food for our own people.
The problem of Nigeria today is too much, and the only person that can handle it and make sure that our children are able to grow happy again is Atiku Abubakar.
Party supporters turned the rally into some sort of carnival, chanting solidarity songs. The campaign was held peacefully at the Rama Square in Maiduguri with heavy security presence.
In terms of the Maiduguri women, there are so many plans put on ground to make sure they are reintegrated, supported, including, skill acquisition and grants, and then being mainstreamed into the main political line that they have been missing for so many years due to the unrest in this area.
You see, this is an APC state, but you can see the turnout in masses, how people are clamoring, calling for Atiku all over the angles that we went to. We can't even have access to even pass because everything, everybody is out, just a celebration for Atiku. This is a sign of victory.
However, according to the PDP presidential spokesperson Dino Melaye, 74 persons were hospitalized, while 100 vehicles were vandalized as hoodlums clashed with members and supporters of the People's Democratic Party while on their way from the Shoro Borno Palace.
Meanwhile, in the Borno State Police Command has denied the news making the rounds on social media that the PDP rally in Maiduguri was disrupted. The police public relations officer, Sani Kamilu, while briefing newsmen, notes that the rumors are being peddled by mischief makers who are trying to paint the state in bad light. According to him, the command has deployed heavy security within the state capital, and they were part of the PDP presidential candidate's convoy. ASP Sani Kamilu added that the command arrested one person who allegedly pelted a vehicle during the rally and is in the custody of the police.
The command wished to state authoritatively that the news is not only fake, but also a false and mischievous attempt by some unguided people to incite disturbance and distract the peace of Borno people and Nigeria at large. The campaign rally was done and conducted successfully under a tight and adequate security coverage. The command is at top gear to ensure that Borno State is free from any conflict before, during, and even after the election.
President Muhammadu Buhari has visited King Charles III at Buckingham Palace in the United Kingdom. The president, who is currently on a 2-week medical trip to London, used the opportunity to congratulate the British monarch on his ascension to the throne following the death of his mother, Queen Elizabeth II. President Buhari also promised Nigeria's continuous support to the Commonwealth, while drawing attention to his administration's effort at strengthening democracy in Nigeria and the African continent. At the end of the meeting, he told journalists about his administration's plan to conduct a credible, free and fair election next year. He also responded to a question on the controversy caused by the decision of the Central Bank of Nigeria to redesign the Naira notes. President Buhari says he stands by the decision and strongly believes it will lead to reduction in inflation, currency counterfeiting, and cut excess cash in circulation.
Interested very much in Nigeria, maybe of Nigeria's relationship with Britain for all long, and our economic strength. I think we are still of great attachment to them, and he really speaks very well of Nigeria, and he showed the interest that he wants the relationship to continue and, if possible, to be improved. Let the Nigerian businessmen and the British one continue to work together, and let them, make sure that the relationship is improved instead of allowing it to go down.
The Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited say its engagement with private security is paying off in its quest to end crude oil theft in the country. The Chief Executive Officer of the company, Mele Kyari, made the declaration at a summit on legislative transparency and accountability. National Assembly correspondent Joke Adisa reports.
For several years, Nigeria's oil and gas sector has been synonymous with opacity. Until 2018, the accounts of the NNPC had been shrouded in secrecy in violation of the act establishing it. Generally, the operations of many government agencies in the oil and gas sector were kept away from public scrutiny, giving room for corruption.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen.
This summit is one of the contributions of the House of Representatives at helping to eradicate graft and make the sector more efficient, especially in view of the new Petroleum Industry Act.
It will provide us a platform where the major operators can outline the ways in which this new legislation has provided an opportunity that will promote transparency and accountability in their operation.
Our objective must be to use policy instruments to improve the industry's outlook and maximize its potential for however long that is possible.
As patriots, we owe ourselves the duty to provide solutions that will help to present and the future generations.
What we have done here today will ensure a transparent future Nigeria.
For the NNPC Limited, crude theft remains a huge challenge in Nigeria, with about 60% of the nation's revenue being lost to the vice. But it acknowledges some breakthrough with the engagement of private security contractors. So far, 2 trunks have been restored, but NNPC also raises the alarm on threats to life as a result of the fight against crude theft.
We are open to an open forensic audit of everything we are doing, and we are inviting it so that the Nigerians will know what we are doing. But it is not possible for you to buy fuel at 170, 165 naira when your actual cost is far, far away, twice that value.
Discarding confidential clauses in contract agreements, consistent and transparent audit of NNPC Limited, and regular audit of its physical assets are some of the suggestions made to attain transparency and accountability in the oil and gas sector.
This summit has brought to the fore the significance of transparency and accountability for an effective petroleum sector management, and more importantly, the target is to improve Nigeria's business climate. TVC News, Abuja.
Let's turn our attention now to our ongoing coverage of the ravaging floods across the country. The BAYELSA command of the Nigerian Immigration Service is insisting that full operations have since begun, even though flood water is still visible in the office premises. This is also happening at a time some religious bodies are joining other spirited Nigerians to reach out to families displaced by floods. We have details in this report.
As the flood waters begin to recede in some areas in the capital, Yenagoa, the Nigerian Immigration Service BAYELSA State Command signals the return of normal operations of personnel across the state. The controller of the BAYELSA Command, Sunday James, visits the various offices in the state to see to the smooth operation of the command. Also warns of severe consequences for officers with intent to evade duty as he visits the headquarters of the command, which is partly still flooded with water.
We are doing an essential duty, we are a security outfit, and we have assignment to render to the public. So if you decide to desert your duty post, it's a dispensable case. And that's more reason why no single officer is permitted to leave his duty post for any reason, unless with permission. 3 days before the flood came proper, every essential asset of the service was recovered. So no single officer who is handling any document has any reason to tell me that something is missing. Documents, very intact.
Meanwhile, religious bodies have joined in sympathizing with flood victims in BAYELSA. The leadership of the Redeemed Evangelical Mission has put smiles on the faces of over 150 persons with relief materials set to last them until they are settled into their various communities.
The news of the flood and the effects got to our bishop, the presiding bishop of Trem, Bishop Michael Konkwo, and in his empathy and his care for people, he decided that we reach out to the people in the IDP camp as well as our members that were affected. We are hoping that it's something that will relieve them just a bit.
The flood is receding. We want people to be encouraged. This is just the beginning. We want people to be blessed. And we hope that as they are blessed physically, they will be blessed spiritually by the word.
We want to appreciate each and every person that move towards this success. And I know that anyhow it will be a little relief for us and to reduce the pressure and the problem we are facing.
The church aims to help as many affected farmers and small-scale businesses as possible as they look forward to helping more persons in the coming days.
More than 175 rape cases have been recorded in Niger State between January 2021 and July 2022, indicating an increase in gender-based violence. Yet a majority of these offenders go unpunished. In order to address this, the International Federation of Women Lawyers organized a 2-day workshop for lawyers, prosecutors, and police officers to harmonize efforts in the fight against gender-based violence. Chenemi Bami has details.
After the COVID-19 pandemic, there has been a growing increase in cases of gender-based violence. As a journalist, I've covered some of these cases, and it is sad to find some offenders go unpunished. Out of 77 prosecutions, only 8 convictions have been recorded, while 60 cases are still under trial in Niger State. The challenge before now had been low reportage of these cases when they occur. But with increasing awareness, more cases are being reported, yet there seems to be a clog in the wheels of justice. This two-day workshop is organized by the International Federation of Women Lawyers for prosecutors, lawyers and the police. Wife of the Niger State Governor, Amina Abubakar, said the factors that slow down or abate justice for GBV cases are caused by these three categories of officers, which is why synergy between them will ensure offenders are brought to book.
This capacity building is not just about refreshing our minds, but it's about coming together as a team, fighting the same issue, but coming together to come up with one solution that will work for us in Niger State and probably for the rest of the country.
There are also socio-cultural issues that are hard to deal with in cases where survivors and their families insist GBV cases should be settled out of court.
Example, a woman will be the one to report her husband that he beat her, but she's the same person that will come and beg you that you shouldn't put him in prison. So what do? If men are not shown that if they beat up their wives, there is a consequence for it, they will continue to do it. And we have to make relations and people understand that when a domestic case comes to the lawyers or to the police, it becomes a state case.
It is also a forum for them to interface with other stakeholders, like the lawyers, the Ministry of Justice, the judiciary, to know and fine-tune where the problems are, and then reach a resolution on how to deal with them, rather than buck passing.
To organize capacity building for its members, lawyers, the police force and other stakeholders, so that we would know how we could synergize and how we could help ourselves and be more informed on how to properly manage these cases in court.
It is expected that at the end of this workshop there will be a synergy between the work of the judiciary, the police and the prosecutors in the fight against gender-based violence in the country. Chenemi Bameyi, TVC News, Mina.